fruits and vegetables are a popular part of any restaurant menu.
Whether they're served at a salad bar, on top of a burger, in a fruit cup, or as an edible garnish.
But if not handled properly, fresh produce can cause foodborne illness.
Most of us have gotten food poisoning at one time or another in our lives, so it's easy to believe that it doesn't happen very often, and when it does happen, it's no big deal. But it is a very big deal. Scientists say that every year in the U.S., 1 in 6 people gets a foodborne illness. That's about 48 million of us.
And for some of us, the effects of food poisoning aren't over in just a day or two. People can have severe health complications that can affect them for years to come, or even cause their death. 3,000 people die each year from foodborne illness. When fruits and vegetables are to be served raw, like fresh produce often is, extra care should be taken to remove any harmful bacteria or viruses that might already be on the produce, like Listeria, E. coli, Salmonella, or noroviruses. You'll also want to make sure that no new bacteria or viruses get on the fruits and vegetables before they're served. Otherwise, your customers could get food poisoning.
As food service workers, you have a vital role in preparing foods that are not only delicious, but are also safe to eat. After all, people are the most significant source of harmful bacteria and viruses on food. So the most critical hazard to fresh produce during handling and preparation is the human hazard. This is why personal hygiene is so important when handling food. This video will demonstrate simple and effective steps for washing and handling fresh produce, as well as how to avoid cross-contamination. Food scientists at the University of Georgia at Griffin and Athens and at the University of California, Davis have been conducting research on produce washing technologies for several years.
The information in this video comes in part from that research, as well as best practices established by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Cross-contamination happens when bacteria or viruses get transferred from one surface to another surface, like food.
For example, if you handle raw chicken and then handle tomatoes for salad without washing your hands and changing your gloves in between, the tomatoes may become contaminated with salmonella. You could also transfer bacteria from raw chicken to tomatoes by using the same cutting board for cutting both without washing and sanitizing the board in between uses. Tomatoes for salad are eaten raw, so there's no chance for the bacteria to get killed by heating, and when someone eats the tomatoes, a foodborne illness could result. We can't see bacteria and viruses without a microscope, so we'll use red chalk dust to represent how germs can be spread by your hands to counter surfaces, to other people, and to food. Here are some ways to reduce the chance of cross-contamination. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Bacteria, viruses, and other germs love to hitch a ride on your hands. One of the main ways diseases are spread. Use a sink that is designated only for hand washing. Never use a food preparation sink, such as a sink used for thawing meats, or a sink used for washing dishes, even if you're in a hurry. Wash your hands for at least 20 seconds with liquid soap and clean, warm water, making sure to get your wrists, any exposed part of your arms, under your fingernails, and between your fingers. Not sure how long 20 seconds is? It's about the time it takes to sing Happy Birthday, twice. After washing your hands, rinse, then dry them thoroughly with a clean, single-use paper towel. Use the towel to turn off the faucets and open any doors so that you don't put germs right back on your hands. So when should you wash your hands? After using the bathroom, when you first arrive at work, before handling utensils, food, and single-service items, before and after touching any raw foods, including eggs in the shell, after touching any part of your body or clothes, after handling or washing dirty equipment, dishes, utensils, or taking out the trash, after taking a break, smoking, eating, drinking, coughing, sneezing, or talking on a phone, after handling money, after handling chemicals or pesticides, before putting on new single-use gloves to handle ready-to-eat foods like raw produce.
Remember, new clean gloves are not a substitute for washing your hands. Always wash your hands between glove changes.
Clean hands plus clean gloves equals good hygiene.
Another word about gloves. When gloves get contaminated, they can spread germs just as easily as unwashed bare hands can. So always change your gloves if they have rips or holes in them, or after using the restroom, coughing, sneezing, smoking, using the telephone, or in between preparing raw and cooked foods.
Also, discard your gloves before entering the restroom. Dirty aprons can also spread germs. Aprons should always be hung up before entering the restroom so they don't become contaminated. Chewing gum, smoking, or eating should be done in designated areas only, away from food preparation. Reducing the risk of cross-contamination begins before you come to work each day by bathing, putting on clean clothes, and leaving jewelry at home. Also, make sure fingernails are kept short and clean without any nail polish on them. Fake fingernails, no matter how short they are never acceptable. If you are feeling sick, you should contact your supervisor before coming into work, especially if you have been vomiting or have diarrhea, fever, or if you have any discharge from your nose or eyes. Your supervisor will decide whether you need to stay home until the doctor has cleared you. Once you are at work, you should report any sores or wounds you have to the manager, including sores on your wrists or forearms. If the sore is infected, you may be assigned to work away from food preparation areas. Sores and wounds should be properly covered with a clean, impermeable bandage. Hand wounds will also need a clean, single-use glove. You should put a hairnet or a hat on and, if necessary, a beard restraint anytime you are going to be in an area with open food. If possible, have a separate sink that is only used for washing vegetables and fruits. If the kitchen facility does not have a separate designated sink, be sure to thoroughly and carefully clean and sanitize the sink after each use. Always use separate cutting boards, knives, and other utensils that are designated for use for fresh produce only. Do not use wooden or damaged plastic cutting boards or processing tables in the kitchen. Wooden or damaged cutting boards are difficult to clean and sanitize properly.
Cleaning and sanitizing both have to be done because they are two different and very important actions. When you clean something, you're removing the soil that you can see by washing it or wiping it away. Sanitizing always needs to come after cleaning.
When you sanitize, you are reducing the number of viruses or harmful bacteria, which you can't see on a surface, by killing them. After removing any visible soil or debris, wash all food contact surfaces from the top downward with a food-safe approved detergent solution. Then rinse the surface thoroughly with clean water. Next, sanitize the surface using a sanitizing solution mixed at a concentration specified on the manufacturer's label. It's very important to allow the surface to air dry completely. Be careful not to splash water or other liquids on counters, which could possibly spread bacteria to other food surfaces. Equipment used to slice and shred fruits and vegetables also needs to be cleaned, rinsed, sanitized, and air dried. Be sure to unplug electrical equipment before taking it apart, following the manufacturer's instructions. Wash each part carefully, rinse, then spray or dip in sanitizer solution. Look for hidden places where bits of food could build up and provide a place for bacteria to grow. Allow to air dry completely before reassembling the equipment. When receiving fresh produce, reject any that shows signs of damage and decay, which could mean that harmful bacteria have had a chance to enter the flesh of the fruits or vegetables where they can't be washed away. Fresh produce should be marked with the date it was received and the date you prepared it for service, so that the produce that's received and prepared first is used first, when it's at its peak quality. Any produce that's past its use-by date should be discarded. Store fresh produce so that any soil on it doesn't come into contact with other foods. In a food service operation with only one refrigerator, store fresh produce covered and on the highest shelves, well above raw meats, poultry, and eggs, which should be on the lowest shelves and stored in containers at least 6 inches above the floor. All fresh fruits and vegetables should be washed thoroughly, even if they are going to be peeled or cooked before eating. Pre-washed, pre-prepared fresh produce and bagged salads should not be washed before serving. Some food service kitchens use vegetable sanitizers like peroxyacetic acid that have been approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Vegetable washes that haven't been approved by the FDA and bleach solutions should not be used to wash produce because they are not food safe. Use cool running water when rinsing off fresh fruits and vegetables. You should rub fruits and vegetables with your hands or a clean vegetable brush to remove visible dirt and to rinse away any bacteria or viruses that may be present. As you are washing the produce, examine it for rotten spots, cuts, or bruises in the flesh where bacteria may have had a chance to seep into the tissue. Cut these places out before washing so bacteria do not contaminate wash water. For fruits and vegetables that are to be served raw, it is not enough to cut away the bad area and keep the rest, because the inside of the produce could be contaminated with harmful bacteria. The damaged produce should be discarded unless the good part of the fruit or vegetable can be used in a dish that will be thoroughly cooked. Some kinds of produce need special attention to clean all the places where pathogens could be hiding. Tomatoes, chili peppers, and melons are among the fruits and vegetables that have been linked to outbreaks of salmonella and listeria, so they need special attention when they're washed. They have what's called a stem scar where the fruit or vegetable was attached to the plant. This spongy area can draw harmful bacteria into the inner tissue of the produce when the temperature of the fruit is warmer than the wash water. For this reason, produce that has been sitting outside and isn't chilled should not be put directly into a sink of cool water. Make sure to wash the rind of melons before you cut into them, because any bacteria on the outside of the melon could be transferred to the inside by the knife blade. You may need a clean vegetable brush to wash the outside of the melon to help get bacteria that may be caught in the netted rind. Leafy green vegetables like lettuce and spinach have also been linked to cases of food poisoning. Once again, it's important to make sure the water you use to rinse fresh greens is close to the temperature of the produce. Otherwise, bacteria can be absorbed into the lettuce and can't be rinsed away. When rinsing greens, strip off the outer leaves and discard. Pull the heads completely apart. Rinse the greens thoroughly under running water, rubbing gently with your fingers. After you're done, be sure to dry the greens thoroughly with a single-use paper towel or a spinner. Moisture left on produce helps bacteria multiply. Herbs like fresh parsley and basil require thorough rinsing and drying, even if they are only going to be used as a garnish. Herbs are delicate, and normal rubbing would bruise or tear them, producing more places for bacteria to attach to the leaves and get inside. Swish herbs in cold water for 1 minute, then dry thoroughly. Broccoli, green onions, and cauliflower can have tough-to-get-at places where bacteria can survive and thrive. Rinse broccoli and cauliflower thoroughly under cool running water, taking extra care with the heads. The outer membranes of green onions can be pulled off and discarded so that water can reach tight spots. Fruits such as berries and apples have also been associated with outbreaks of food poisoning. They should be rinsed thoroughly under running water. Apples can be rubbed with your thumbs, but berries are more delicate, so you should rub very gently so as not to bruise the fruit.
This video contains a lot of information, and you may not remember all of it after just one viewing. That's why it's important to review the material several times and talk to your supervisor to make sure you understand the proper food safety procedures. That way, you'll be confident that you're helping to prepare fruits and vegetables that taste great and are also safe for your customers to eat.